everybody, this is Heather Sides, and I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator in Spokane, Washington. I come on live here once a month to do an alternate ideas video for our paper pumpkin kit. I also come on weekly on Wednesday nights at 6 p.m. With 3 card ideas every week. But this weekend we're working on paper pumpkins. So we have a fun kit this month. It's Sweet Sunflowers, I think is what it's called. Sweet Sunflowers. So while we're waiting for people to get on here, I'm just going to be checking my computer, make sure that I've got everything up on the big screen so that I can see your comments. So bear with me while I get that going. Let's see here. Okay, there we go. I do see I'm even right side up. Whoops, hang on just a second here. Wanted to mute that just because you don't need to hear me in stereo. So let's see now. Okay, we're up and running. So it's been kind of a crazy week, so I apologize for the late reminder today, letting you know that we're on. So I hope that you found me anyway. Let's go ahead. Oh, my screen is frozen here. So let's go out and come back in. There we go. Not frozen anymore. So go ahead and we'll get started. A couple of quick housekeeping things. I do want to remind you that these are the last few days of Sale-A-Bration. Every $50 you spend gets you a free gift from Stampin' Up! And we have several really awesome gifts to choose from. You can get an unlimited number of them. So however much you spend, you can get however many free gifts that qualifies for. But remember, these are the last couple days to do it because the special ends on August 31st. So we're getting close to the end here. And if you come to me first thing in the morning on September 1st and say, oh, I missed it, can you sneak me in? Unfortunately, I can't. So make sure you get in there before midnight Mountain Time to get those orders placed. And you can do that on my website, which you'll see here in a minute is heathersides.stampinup.net. You can shop there. I would love to earn your business. We can talk a little bit more about that in a little bit. So let's go ahead. It looks like Nell has joined us. Welcome, Nell. I'm going to turn this camera around and we're going to get started on our cards. What do you think? Give me just a moment here. Get everything turned around here. Sorry if this makes anybody seasick. Okay. And we have another Nell joining us. Tonight is the night of Nells, it looks like. Welcome, Nell number 2. Okay. That still looks a little bit crooked, doesn't it? Okay, you guys. You may also have noticed that yesterday was National Dog Day, and I posted a picture of my little Lucy Lou Who. But I encouraged you guys to post pictures of your pups as well. So even though today, now that National Dog Day has passed, I still really want to encourage everybody to post pictures because I love seeing pictures of people's dogs. So if you go on, make sure you send me a pic. Okay, so this month's kit, let me kind of show it to you. This is the beautiful box that came in, and of course, the instructions that come with the kit. If you have not received a paper pumpkin kit before, this is what you receive, and you get all the supplies and all the instructions to make 3 different projects, multiples of each one. They give you all the instructions. They give you everything you need. The only thing that you might need that is missing is a pair of scissors. And I'm sure you can find a pair of those at home. These are a great gift for somebody, whether for yourself, just if you like to do something quick and easy, or just challenge yourself to think outside the box. Or a gift for somebody who maybe wants to get into stamping but isn't quite sure how to get started. I welcome Robin, welcome Elaine. So anyway, with Christmas coming up, paper pumpkin is a great idea to think about. You can try it out for 1 month, or you can buy subscriptions of 3, 6, or 12 months. And right now during Sale-A-Bration, it's a great time to buy a subscription because the minimum subscription of 3 months qualifies for Sale-A-Bration gifts. So it's a great way to get the kits and also get some free goodies in the meantime. Next month's, this is just a little ad we had for next month's paper pumpkin kit, and it's actually going to be a Halloween theme in these purple and black and gosh, I don't know what shade of yellow that's going to be, if that's crushed curry or anyway, the yellow, the purple, the black, and the white. I think it's a fun little color combination. Hey, Marcia, welcome. Thanks for sharing the video for me. But anyway, I'm really excited to see what we get next month because I love that color combination. Let me show you the stamps that came in this month's kit. I finally got smart and thought I'll put a piece of white paper behind this so you can see the stamps a little better. There's a sunflower, the center of the sunflower, a few fun little sentiments, little bumblebees. You know, I'm not a huge bee fan because, well, you know, I don't like to get stung myself. But I love the bees in this kit. They just tickled me. So I'm excited to show you what I did to play with them. Hey, Jenny, welcome. I hope I am able to provide you with the inspiration you are seeking. Okay, so this kit, I'm going to show you the pieces I have left over. You know, I'll be honest and tell you that I had a little bit more of a challenge with this kit this month. Just because you can see like the envelopes, which are beautiful, by the way. See these gorgeous envelopes? The envelopes and the card fronts were pretty busy. There was a lot to them. And so it was really hard to do alternate things with these products and not overdo it. So I hope you like what I've come up with. I didn't use as many pieces as I normally do. So you can see how there's a lot going on here, and they're the kind of designs that tend to speak for themselves. So you don't have to do a whole lot to decorate them up, which is nice unless you're trying to come up with alternate ideas. So anyway, these are some of the pieces that came with it. This was also a card front. This was part of this card front. It was just the other side. It was card back. There was this piece. There were a couple of these available, which I thought was kind of fun. But again, a lot of detail to it. Not a lot is needed to dress it up. We got these great gold honeycomb sheets, which I was super excited about. I think they're so pretty, and I was excited to see what I could come up with them. And you know, to be honest, I haven't come up with a whole lot yet, but I'm still excited to play with them because I think they could make some really beautiful things. Marcia says she's made 14 cards so far. So that is really exciting, Marcia. Way to go. I love it when there's so many pieces in the kit that you can do that. And this month, there really are a lot of pieces. So this came with, you can see this little, these are the die cuts. There's these little tulips. There were 3 of them. They were sunflowers, which I've used all the sunflowers. And then these cute little bees. There were like 1,000 of these little bees. And I thought those were a lot of fun. Then there were also lots of tags right here. Pretty colors. And then finally, these little honeycomb pieces in vellum. Yvette just joined us. Welcome, Yvette. So those are the pieces, and of course it came with 2 Stampin' Spots. It came with soft suede and crushed curry. It also came with glue dots and dimensionals. So again, if you've never gotten a paper pumpkin kit before, that gives you an idea of just how thorough these boxes are. They come with a lot of goodies inside. So first what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you the 3 cards that I've come up with that we're going to make together. And then when I'm done, I'll show you a few extras that I made, okay? Try to straighten out my camera here. Okay, so let's see. We'll go with this first card right here. And for this one, I used one of the envelopes that came in the kit. And let's see all the pieces that I used. I used the quatrefoil tile embossing folder. I also used the seasonal labels dies, and I used these a lot in tonight's projects. I love these different labels that you can make with this kit. It says seasonal, but I use it year round. And those of you who've been with me for a while know that. And then I've got my layering circles, which I did not use on this card, but I did use elsewhere. And I'm going to show you how in just a little bit. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started on this card. Here's the inside of the card. Prop that up so that I can see it while we're working on it. So I've got the card front. This is just one of the basic card fronts that came with the kit. We'll fold that. Move some of my pieces in here so that they're not quite in the way like that. Uh-oh. I put all my pieces away and now I don't know where my bone folder is. Oh, there it is. It was hiding. Okay, so use my bone folder to just get a nice sharp edge there. Okay, we'll set that aside for the moment. Got all these little pieces, lots of little pieces on this one. Okay, so I have a piece of Sweet Sorbet. This is one of our new in colors, and this is Pear Pizzazz. As you can see, I ran it through with the embossing folder, the quatrefoil embossing folder, and I really love this one. You may have heard me mention before, when I got it, I love it. I think it's beautiful, but I didn't use it for the longest time because the more I looked at it, the more I thought, oh, it's so busy. I think it would be really hard to work with it and not have it detract from my images or whatever I'm doing with it. But to be honest, I found that it doesn't detract at all. I really like how it works with everything I've put it with. So let's go ahead and get started on our card. Now I found when I have a piece that's been embossed like this, and there's a lot of small, intricate detail like that, sometimes it's better to use my liquid glue to glue the pieces together, simply because you get glue in those little nooks and crannies. And so, whoops, everything sticks down just a little bit better. On another one that I use a lot, the painted tile, I think that's what it's called, painted tile. It's got a bigger print, and I find that my seal adhesive works just fine with that one. So I think it really isn't every dry embossed image. It's just the ones that have these real small details. Okay, now I'm going to move this piece right here because my paper with the glue on it landed glue side down, and I'm going to have everything sticking to that if I leave it there. All right, let's try this again. So we've got that piece. Now I have a couple of strips here that these are pieces that I just cut off of one of the other card bases, because see how it's got the design on both sides. So I just cut apart one of my card bases for that. So I'm just going to glue that right on there. And as you can see, it's a little bit long. I do that on purpose because then I can trim off the extra. And I actually should have done it before I glued the Pear Pizzazz piece down, but we can work with it. That's fine. So let's see, what did I do? There we go. Couldn't figure out where I put my liquid glue. I'm already losing stuff, and we've only been going for about 5 minutes. Okay, Judy has joined us. Welcome, Judy. So I'm just sticking this down. Okay. There we go. Rub it in there well so that glue gets on in all the little nooks and crannies. And then I'm going to trim off the extra here. There we go. And then we have the inside of our card as well. Let's go ahead and do this strip right now too. So first, what I have is a strip of the Sweet Sorbet and another strip that I had cut from one of the card fronts. I'm going to put a little bit of glue on here. And these are just kind of random lengths. I made sure they were both long enough. Well, I know this one is 5.5. This one is 5.5 because I cut it off of the card base. The red one I know is a little bit longer than that. But again, I like to make them a little bit long. It's just easier to trim off the excess than it is to make the paper longer. Okay, so now I'm going to just line this up. And I do like using liquid glue for gluing down things like this because it does get tacky pretty fast, but it still does give me some time to kind of wiggle it around to make sure it's centered the way I want it, it's laying where I want it, all that kind of stuff. So now I've got that piece. Now I'm just going to go ahead and line it up on the inside of my card, just like so. So a little bit of glue there. Okay. How is everybody doing tonight? Anybody doing anything fun this weekend? My husband, our little community we live in had a fun run thing today. My husband's a runner and he's actually training for marathons, but this little fun run was just a 5K and he did that this morning and he did really well. He was very pleased with himself. So I was pleased with him also. Okay, so there we go. That's the inside of our card, just that fun little strip there. Okay, now let's go ahead and glue this piece down. We can use just regular snail adhesive for this. I might end up needing to put a refill in here tonight. I meant to grab one before we got started. So I'm just going to line this up, kind of make it so that it's, all my margins are just about the same. You know what? This little piece is sticking off just a teeny tiny bit. You know, Robin, my assistant, is probably not going to make an appearance unless I open my office door. For the first time in a long time, my husband is not working out during my live. And so I was able to shut the door and say, she's your problem right now. And he can entertain her. She is a Spitfire. I took her to her first vet appointment a week or so ago, and the vet even sent me an email afterwards with like a little new puppy packet thing, and included a message that said, "Good luck with your new puppy. She's a pistol." And I thought, you know, for somebody who sees all different dogs all the time, to send me a message that says good luck, that's not a good sign. But she is a good girl. Okay, so we've got these pieces here, and I'm just going to glue them down. Uh-oh, I am missing one of my tags, but that's easy enough to pull out of the box. So get my liquid glue again. Now you want to be careful when you're using vellum because your adhesive shows through vellum, and that's why I'm waiting to glue this down. I'm going to glue down all the pieces that are on the vellum first, because then what I can do is stick the adhesive that's going to hold it down behind these pieces so that I don't have to worry about it showing. So a little bit of glue here, and then just put my little flowers kind of at an angle here in the corner, like so. And then I have the cute little bumblebee. I just love these little bumblebees. They're so cute. And there's, like I said, there were like 1,000 of them. Well, maybe not 1,000, but there were a lot. And I'm going to use one of our mini dimensionals just so that he pops up a little bit off the card. Get my take your pick tool. I'm going to stick it to the back. It's just the perfect size for the little bee. And let's see, put it right about there. And then let me get my other label here. What did I do with my box? And this is why I keep all the pieces together. Okay, so now for this one, I did want to give it a little bit more color than just this gray here. I wanted to kind of try to pull out that red or sweet sorbet just a little bit. So what I did is first I got my sweet sorbet ink, and let me show you what I did. Got a little blending brush. Get some ink on there. Get off some of that extra. And then just very lightly went over it. Just kind of like that. But that turned out a little bit pinker than what I had hoped. Let me show you when it's on there. It really does look rather pink. So I wanted to kind of bring in a little bit more of the orange. So what I did then is pulled out my Calypso coral. And there we go. Because you know that sweet sorbet is kind of, it's not really orange, but it's not really pink, and it's not really red. So by mixing the two, I kind of got the right color there. So that blended in a little bit better. And of course, I already have ink all over my fingers. Then I took my, I think I used my Mossy Meadow ink to stamp the sentiment. And for this sentiment, let me find it here. It just says, for a one-of-a-kind friend. I use this one a lot in these projects. Okay, so line it up, hopefully get it straight. Looks like Cheryl's joined us. Welcome, Cheryl. Okay, it's not quite as dark and bold as I would have liked, but it'll still work. It's okay. Okay, put my ink pad away, and now we'll just get this guy assembled. So let's go ahead and start by putting our vellum piece down. What I did is I used liquid glue here just because I could control where the glue went a little bit better. See, and I'm putting it right on the back of where those pieces are, because now I know that my adhesive is not going to show. Oh, you know what? I should have put this guy on here first, because then I could put some behind that as well. So how am I going to do that? Oh, I know how I can do it. Let's go ahead and just lay this down. And I kind of have it centered between this edge and the edge of this strip right here. So we'll set that down. Go ahead and when you get it on there and get it straightened and how you want it, go ahead and hold it in place for a minute. Give that glue a minute to kind of soak into all the little nooks and crannies and to start to get tacky. Now let's go ahead and put our tag on there. For that, I'm going to go ahead and just use some of my dimensionals. Like that. You know, I used to have a garbage can hanging off the side of my desk. My assistant, however, kept trying to get into it and knocking it off the desk and then pulling stuff out of it. So now I've had to move it, and it's not quite so convenient for me anymore. So I need to figure out something that works a little better than that. Okay, so now, let's see here. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to put some glue right here, because I know that my little tag is going to cover that up. So you can see I've got a good amount of glue here and over here, and that will hold my vellum in place. And then to finish it off, I have some of my solid faceted gems. I really like these gems. They're nice, bold colors, but they're kind of sparkly too because of the facets on them. And they come in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 different colors. So there's a lot you can do with them. And let's see here. Take a big one, put it right about there. A little one next to it. Then another little one. Put it down here. There we go. And card number 1 is done. So we'll go ahead and we'll set these guys aside for the moment. Clean up my mess, and we'll get going for card number 2. What'd you think of that one, you guys? Oh, thanks, Diane. Diane says she loves it. Cynthia, welcome. Oh, Cynthia's from Spokane as well. Watch my page, Cynthia. I have some in-person events that I'm going to be starting to have, and it'd be great if you could join us. So watch for those. Okay, so the next card we're going to do, let me show you here. And this one is very quick and simple. This one utilized this large piece that came in the kit. There's the inside. And let me show you what I did to utilize one of those. Well, where is it? Hold that thought. There it is. Okay, so the gold honeycomb pieces, I actually used it as a template on this card and on the envelope. See how I made the honeycomb pattern? So let me show you how I did that. Start with my envelope and then also the basic white piece that's going to go on the inside of our card. And I just have a piece of scrap paper here. Do this to block it off so I'm not stamping or coloring, inking all over the envelope. And I just kind of put this at an angle. Again, got my blender brush and the Calypso Coral ink. Ink that up. And then I just kind of, whoops, don't want that moving. Just kind of like that. There. And I like how it gives kind of a faded look as it goes. I think it looks nice and natural, and it is very useful to do something like that when you have a piece like this that isn't quite as wide as your entire envelope flap, so you don't have the distinct lines where your template ended. Okay, so then I'm also going to do it on the lower corner of my basic white piece here. There, just like that. So same idea. And then I just put this in a little plastic baggie, if I can figure out where I put the plastic baggie, so that it didn't get any ink that's left on it, didn't get on other things, but I can use it for other projects again. So don't waste it and throw it away. Okay, so now let's work on the other pieces, putting this card together. Where are all of my little pieces? Oh, here they are. They were hiding. Okay, so for the inside, I have a little bumblebee. Let's put one of those little bumblebees in there. And I did not use a dimensional for this one, just because it's kind of hard when you put dimensionals inside your card. The card just doesn't seem to lay right. So I don't do that very often. So I'm just putting a little bit of glue here on the back of my bumblebee. Have him flying away like he's leaving the hive. Just like that. Let's go ahead and glue this to the inside of our card. Here's our card base. It's just a standard half sheet of Calypso Coral. It's 8.5 by 5.5, scored in the middle at 4 1/4. I keep losing my bone folder. Oh, good. I'm glad that you like that idea, Jenny. Okay, let's go ahead and glue this to the inside of our card. That way we don't lose it or get ink on it or make a mess on it. Can you guys hear Lucy? She has opinions. And it's very important to her that we know that she has opinions. And she's very quick to let us know when we are not doing what she thinks we should be doing. Okay, so now I took this piece and I laid it on here, and it just seemed a little dark to me right there. So what I did is I got a piece of crushed curry that we're going to mount on the back, and it just gives about 1/4 of an inch around this centerpiece, but it did make it pop off the card just a little bit more. So I'm going to put a little adhesive right here in the middle, and then I'm going to line it up here. Don't push it down too tight until you know you've got it where you want it. And that way, if you need to lift it up to reposition it, you can. I think that looks about right. And now I can go ahead and just stick this to the back or to the front of my card. I almost said to the back of the card. I don't know what I'm thinking. Okay, put that right there, center it. Now I have another little bumblebee that just fell out. And this one I am going to use one of the little mini dimensionals again. I do like it when there's some detail on the card that pops up, just to give it a little something extra. Okay. And we'll put him over here like he's checking out this little flower right there. And then finally, I just have a little white strip. This is just a 1/2 inch scrap that I had left over. And it happens to be cut there because I used it when I did this piece. What we're going to do is I'm going to get my sentiment. Let's find it. It says thank you. And again, using the Calypso Coral ink. And I'm going to stamp it off to the right against that flat edge. Try to get it straight. That came out all right. Okay, clean off my stamp. And then I'm going to go ahead and take my snips and I'm going to cut at an angle like that. Then I'm going to take some dimensionals and mount it onto the card. You see, this was a very quick and simple card. There we go. And I'm lining it up along the edge of this little piece that we put on here. Try to make sure you get it straight, which is sometimes easier than others. And there you go. That's the whole card, you guys. Quick and easy, but still fun, right? So there's card number 2. Clean up this piece and let's get going on card number 3. Can you believe we're on card number 3 already? Okay, you guys, I saved this one for last because this one was my favorite, and I'll tell you why. I'm not a huge fan. Hey, Kathy, welcome. Thanks for joining us. I am not a huge fan of getting going on everything Christmassy so early because, you know, it's not long before everything is Christmas everywhere you look, right? So I don't like to start it too early. Getting lots of great comments about that last card. People like the colors. Good. I'm very glad. Anyway, I looked at this one stamp. Let me find the stamp to show you what I'm talking about. Okay. So it was this stamp right here. And I think it was intended to be, let me see. I think it was probably intended to be like one of these with the purple flowers on the ends. But you know what I kept seeing? I kept seeing a little bough with holly on it, or the little red berries at Christmas, right? And so, because that's what I kept seeing, this is what I came up with. And I was so excited because I love it when I'm able to look at something and see it as something other than how it was intended. My brain doesn't always go that direction, so it's very exciting to me when it does. But this is what I created. So I'm going to show you how. It was so easy. And there's what we did with the envelope. So let's go ahead and get started. The first thing I did, I used my layering circles dies that you know I use for everything. I use them all the time. And I cut this circle with it, okay? Do it with any color because all this is a template. Then what I did, let's get some of these pieces out that we're going to work with. I'm going to start with this piece and then, oh, there it is. The inside of my card, we're going to use it as well. So I'm going to show you what I did is I stuck it right here in the center. Got a pencil here. And if it's not exactly the center, it's fine. Just very, very lightly trace over it so that we're tracing a circle onto our white. If you do it lightly, you'll still be able to see it, but once you stamp over it, it's not going to show through. So that gives me a guide right there. That's going to make our wreath. And then got our card base here. Okay, so now I'm going to do one right here for the inside of the card. just to give us a little something on the inside. Again, just do it lightly. There we go. And then put your little template away for future use. Okay. Now, what I did is I'm going to put my envelope out as well, because we're going to do the same thing as far as stamping goes. We're just not doing an arc like that or a circle. And I'm taking, let me find the stamp. Here's the stamp. And I used Garden Green. And I just started going around that circle. And there's just enough of a curve to this little branch that it works perfectly. See, just like that. Let's go ahead and do this circle too. Some people can freehand this and do a nice little circular wreath. I end up with really bizarre shaped wreaths if I do that. So I do like to find something that I can use as a template to draw the circle to work around. Looks like I want to get just a little more right there. Okay, now, let's go on the envelope too. And for the envelope, all I really did, whoops, get my scrap paper here so I don't stamp on anywhere other than the flap. And I did this kind of a little bit of an arc, but not quite as much as the other ones where they were actually built on to make a circle. So now I'm going to clean off that stamp. Put away my ink pad. Now this next step can be a little bit time consuming, but it's not terrible. Here I took my dark Real Red Stampin' Blend marker. Now the cardstock we're using with this card is actually the Cherry Cobbler. But when I kind of played with it, I found that I liked the look of the dark Real Red for the berries a little bit better. It did match really well. So that's why I didn't use the Cherry Cobbler marker. So now I'm just using the bullet tip, and all these little pieces right here where you can see there's like a little nub on the end, I just started coloring little red dots. And actually, because it does bleed through, go ahead and leave your scrap paper there. Okay. And this part, it doesn't take too terribly long. It's just, you know, there's a lot of these little dots to color. So we'll go through and do these little dots. Okay, so the envelope is done. Let's do the next piece. We'll do our wreath. Another thing that I thought about, and I almost did this, but I didn't, we have some gems that we're going to use tonight on the card, on this card, that are kind of a red, and they're small, they're tiny, and you could put a few on here as berries too. I don't think you'd want to make them all the berries because that would be a whole lot of them to have to put on. But just a few here and there to give it a little bit of texture would be kind of fun too. Okay. Oh, good. I'm hearing lots of good stuff about this card too. I'm glad you guys are liking this and finding inspiration in these cards. That's why I do it. Uh-oh, I hear the puppy getting yelled at. And you know what the best part is? Not my problem. I know that sounds really horrible of me to say, right? But I typically spend all day with her telling her no. And it's kind of nice to hear someone else having to say it now and then. Okay, let's see. couple more right there. Okay, now we've just got one more piece. That's the inside of the card. And then all of our little berries are done. And I swear it takes longer to do it. At least it feels like it takes longer to do it when you're doing it on a live video with people having to just sit there and watch. I love the Stampin' Blend markers. If you don't have any, I really recommend at least get a couple and try them out. They're alcohol based, so they dry really fast. But the whole intent of them is that they blend. And each color, you get 2 pens, a light shade and a dark shade. And I am not an artist by any stretch of the imagination when it comes to color and light and all of that kind of thing. And so I love that the markers do it for me. It makes it nice and easy, and I feel accomplished when I'm done. So, okay, so there's the inside of the card. Now I have my piece of garden green cardstock, and then I also have my cherry cobbler. So let's go ahead and mount our wreath onto the cherry cobbler. See how nice those real red berries match with this cherry cobbler? I got the light and dark real red out, and I got the light and the dark cherry cobbler out, and then just kind of played with them to see what I liked the best. Okay, so now I'm just going to go ahead and mount this piece onto my green. We'll put it right there. And I've got some of my gold shimmer ribbon. This was in our Christmas catalog last year, or our July through December mini catalog actually. And it's so beautiful. I love it. And I thought it would be really stiff because a lot of times metallic ribbons are very stiff and kind of hard to work with, but it really isn't. It's pretty soft. It's easy to work with. So anyway, what I'm going to do now is just tie a little bow. Thank you, Nell. Nell said that was a great way to make a wreath. I love doing wreaths and things like that, but my eye just does not do perfect shapes well at all. So when I can find a tool that helps me get past that part, I'm very grateful. So now I'm just kind of playing with this to get the loops the size that I want them, and then I'll trim the tails to the size that I want them. Okay, and I'm going to slide it down here so it's about halfway between here and the bottom of my card. Let's go ahead and, oops. Oh, I don't like it when it does that, where it gets kind of wonky, because then I have to sit there and keep evening it out, and that's just very dangerous for me. See, I end up doing this where I just keep going back and trimming more until pretty soon I have no more. And the same thing happens when I trim my own bangs. Pretty soon I look like the guy from Dumb and Dumber, because that's how my bangs end up. Okay, so now let's go ahead and glue this onto our card. Whoops, make it so that my ribbon is even. Mount this onto my card. I like how clean this looks with the white card base. And just, you know, that little bit of color on there like that. Okay, so now I have a little label that I made. Hey, Carla, welcome. Thanks for joining us. And again, I used my seasonal labels dies to make this label. And what I did is I took my Versamark ink, take a little piece of scrap paper, or we also sell a powder tray that you can use for this step. I just haven't personally invested in that yet. And I use the same sentiment for a one-of-a-kind friend. A rule of thumb when it comes to getting the ink when you're using Versamark, ink it up until you think you have way more than enough ink, and then get some more on there, okay? Then I went ahead and stamped it right in the middle. Okay, now put the ink pad away, because if you pour the powder out, if the powder sticks onto your pad, it is a pain. I mean, you pretty much have to throw away the pad at that point, I think, because you just can't really get that powder off of it. So now I pour my, this is gold embossing powder. It looks like maybe I got a little bit of edge of my stamp on there. What I like to do is I take a little paintbrush like this, and I can just brush that extra embossing powder off. And you know, I just bought like a little 3-pack of brushes at the dollar store, where there was this one, which I think this was the wide one, and then one that was really super fine, and then one that was in between the two. You don't need anything fancy. Like I said, I just got mine at the dollar store. Now pour the powder back in there. Okay, I'm going to turn on my heat tool. This is going to get loud for just a moment, but it doesn't take long. What this does, if you haven't embossed before with heat, is the heat embosser will heat it up and it melts that powder. And you know that it's ready because it starts to get shiny instead of looking grainy. So I'll hold this down. Some people kind of wiggle it all over. You really don't need to. You can hold it in one spot. If you are embossing a really small piece, it might get a little hot on your fingers, in which case just use a pair of tweezers to hold it. Okay, they're starting to melt, it looks like. Whoop. There's something sort of magical about watching embossing powder melt. Whoop. Come back here. Okay. Now, take a few dimensionals, and we're going to mount this onto our card. Oops. I like lots of dimensionals. You know me, I say, if it's worth doing, it's worth overdoing. I'm lucky I haven't hurt myself saying, you know, living that out. Okay, let's see, get those backs off. Nell says her circles are never round. Well, now you know how to make them round. Just trace them from a little die. Okay, so now I'm just centering this here in the middle of my wreath. That's kind of crooked, isn't it? Pick it up just a little bit to try to straighten it out. Oh, now it's really crooked. This is the kind of stuff that keeps me up at night, you know that. Okay, so now we have our red and green adhesive backed pearls. I don't know if you can really see in the video how pearly the red and the green are. Obviously the gold and the silver are pearly, but they are nice and shiny. And these are the ones that I was saying would have been kind of fun to maybe put a few here and there as the berries, just to lift it off the page a little bit. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a few here on my label, just so that it's not, you know, this big block of white. Use my take your pick tool for that. There we go. And remember, we did the inside of our card and our envelope. So that was card number 3. Pretty easy to do. Maybe a little time consuming because of all the berries, but you know, that's the gist of it. So let's go ahead and clean some of this stuff up. And then we can take a look at the cards we made tonight, as well as all the extra ones that I made. I made about 3 or 4 extra cards, just to give you a few more ideas. So I'm just going to clean up my mess a little bit. I hope you guys liked what you saw. If you did, I love it when you give me thumbs up or likes. The algorithms at Facebook like that as well. If you have friends that you think might be interested, or even if you don't know, if you share my video, that helps me a lot too. You never know who in your feed might enjoy it. If you're watching this on YouTube, I always upload the videos to YouTube when we're done. If you're watching it on YouTube, you can like it there. You can also follow me on YouTube, and then you get notifications when I upload new videos. So let's see, putting stuff away here. Okay, so we have our Christmas card that we just made. And then we have this one with the little honeycomb and the honeycomb that we made with our template. And then finally, we have this one where we use the vellum. So those are 3 fun cards that we made together. And then the extra ones that I made, just to kind of show you a few more ideas. I made a fall card here with the leaves and did just various colors, and then just kind of splashed some watercolor over them. I am not a watercolor artist. Hey, Lisa, welcome. I'm glad that you joined us. I'm sorry that you missed the beginning, but I'm glad you'll be able to watch the replay. Okay, so you do not need to be a watercolor artist to be able to do this. I am not, you guys. I just get my ink wet, use my aqua painters, and then just kind of scribble over the image. And it just kind of blends in, and that works for me. Another one that I made, I really liked this one. This one I used our the painted textile, I think, or painted tile embossing folder. And I made a little bit of a watercolor background with our watercolor paper to then stamp the flower and the leaves. And then we had the little honeycomb vellum that came in the kit, and I just used one of my blending brushes to go over it with a little bit of So Saffron, just to give it some color so that it stood out off that white. Of course, added the cute little bumblebees, and then there's the inside of the card. And did my envelope to match, of course. This one, I used the envelopes that were provided. This was one of the card fronts. I just cut it up into sections and then split it up that way, added a few embellishments and a ribbon and a banner. And let's see what I did on the inside of this one. On this one, just some of the leaves there. And I may go back and color those in a little bit. And then also, oh, I love this one. I love how this one turned out. Okay, so this one, I took the sunflowers. These were the dies that were in the kit, and then you stamp over them to get the detail. This ribbon that we have, let me see what it's called. Hang on here. This ribbon is called Natural Finish Ribbon, and I love it. It's really thin, it's really soft, so it's easy to work with, but you can stamp on it as well. So I stamped all the little bumblebees on there. And then on the inside, I took one of those dies, I put it in the corner, I cut it off where it came over the edge of the corner, and took one of the sections that I cut off and put it up in that corner. So sometimes the pieces that you think are trash, you can actually reuse for something else. So those are all the cards that I have made so far. I'm still kind of excited to play with that gold honeycomb to see what else I can come up with. I hope you guys had fun watching what I was able to provide. I would love to see cards that you guys have come up with, and I think my page is set up to where you can post on my page to share your ideas, and I would love that. I love seeing what other people are up to, what other people have posted, so definitely send your ideas my way. I love to get ideas from other people. I hope you guys have had a great time tonight. I have as well. If you are looking for any of the supplies that I used tonight, or you want to sign up for your own paper pumpkin kit, I would encourage you to go to my website, heathersides.stampinup.net. I would love to earn your business. If your order is under $150, if you could please use this host code. This is what helps me to continue to bring these videos for free. But if your order is over $150, please don't use the code, because you will earn some special prizes or rewards from Stampin' Up! And I want to make sure that you are the one who gets them. As always, if you have any questions or comments or suggestions, I'd love to hear them. You can email me at stamphappenings@gmail.com or send me a private message here on Facebook. Thank you for all the compliments. You guys are very, very sweet. I enjoy coming to you guys every week and every month. And I'm so grateful that you join me. I hope you guys have a great rest of your month until our next Paper Pumpkin Kit. Don't forget, you can always join us on Wednesday nights at 6 p.m. Pacific time for more ideas. Have a great one, guys.